Okay. Hey, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I have a very special guest today with me. His name is Wil, and welcome, Wil. We are going to be talking about what he does, and it's quite unique and very interesting, and he helps people bust through their imposter syndrome. So I thought that would be a great addition to the show. So welcome, Wil. Introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I love the topic of the imposter complex and confidence and being yourself, being more fully yourself. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes we mix it up when we talk about the imposter syndrome. We think about forcing ourselves to overcome something, and that's not the way that I like to approach it. But we'll get
Mhm.
we'll get into that kind of stuff later on. So
Yeah.
just a little bit about me. I live in Canada, very happy dad and husband. I live in the middle of the woods, which is fantastic, especially these days. I get to be surrounded by trees and nature.
Mhm.
And yeah, I've been doing this work for many years. Started as a life coach, but transitioned into energy work about 4 years ago, and it's just
Mhm.
been the best transition I ever could have made.
Mhm.
I love what I do.
Yeah, yeah. I like to do more healing work too. And actually, I was just working on a paper before we got jumped on the call. But yeah, so it's very interesting, and I'd love to hear your story and what's going on and how you help people because I think there are a lot of people who, like you were saying, the imposter syndrome. It means a lot of different things for different people, and so it's a great way to kind of getting going. So how'd you kind of get in started doing what you're doing? I know you mentioned that you was a life coach, and so how'd you get into be a life coach? And then from there, how did you decide that you wanted to be more of a healing nature? Like what made you bridge the two together?
Mhm. Yeah, it was because I had so many unexplainable experiences that my trainers in the coaching industry couldn't really understand or explain, as well as my mentors didn't have the same abilities or gifts, and so they couldn't really make sense of it with me. So I started many years ago, about probably 10 years ago, as a coach because I'd gotten into a direct sales company and
Hmm.
I loved what they stood for, but I found I was much more drawn to the personal development and the
Right.
coaching and Tony Robbins and all of that kind of work. And so
Hmm.
I spent way more time on that than I did on the actual direct sales business. And and then I went and did a lot of training with Landmark Education, which
Hmm.
now is called Landmark Worldwide, I believe.
Hmm.
Took a lot of coaching courses. I also took this course called Discover Your Sacred Gifts,
Okay.
which was one of the first courses that I ever took. And I took it with my then girlfriend, who's now my wife.
Hmm.
And getting to learn about our different gifts
Hmm.
was really eye opening. So, in that course, they talk about there's only 24 gifts, and everyone in the world has four of these gifts.
Right.
We're born with them, it's what we're born with. And when you identify them and recognize them and get your life in alignment with them, then
Hmm.
things will just work out much better.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
learned at that time that I have a gift called intercessory prayer. And it's where you're able to, the popular version of this is exorcism, like in the movies when you step in and you, you exorcise a demon, which is not, I mean, I do that, but it doesn't look anything like the movies. It's actually very simple, and it's in the light of day. There's nothing
Right.
scary about it, but it's interceding on behalf of my clients,
Hmm.
between them and the crappy beliefs that they have, or the crappy patterns that they have. Of course, with their permission. I never do it without asking first.
Right.
And it's in partnership with them. I'm not more powerful, I'm not better. It's really in partnership. Again, something the movies get very wrong.
Right.
um, but that planted a seed a long time ago. So as I was going through my coaching work, every once in a while I would have something happen. I'd be working with a client and I'd say, "Oh, why are you heartbroken right now?" And
Yeah.
they would say, "Excuse me?" I said, "Well, I know nothing that you're saying sounds like you're heartbroken. Everything's on track, but your heart's broken. What's going on?" And they would
Mhm.
say, "Oh my God, how did you know?
Yeah.
Just lost my grandfather,
Yeah.
been crying all day. How did you know? I didn't let on at all." And I said, I don't know how I knew.
Yeah.
And so those kinds of experiences just kept happening. And
Right.
eventually I had to say, okay, there's something else going on here. Because when I go with that special energy,
Hmm.
I get results with my clients usually within a half an hour, if not
Right.
less. And if I go with the standard coaching model, it could take up to 3 sessions or 3 months
Right.
to get to that same place of deeper awareness.
Hmm.
So I got training. in how to have that happen more consistently with every client, or rather every client that's willing to see it. It's not,
Right.
I can't force anybody, it's only if
Right.
they're willing. But that's how I got into the energy work.
Yeah, I think, not along with the permission, but also, I guess, for me, even doing what I do is like, I don't like to have drawn off long year-round programs for people if they really don't need it,
Hmm.
right? Because if you can help them in a shorter term, then it's better for you and the client.
Yeah,
But that's just me. That's just my opinion. But I love what
I
you're
would
saying
agree.
and what you're doing. And I think that's so important. So given that you're coaching and now you're going more of a spiritual healer, if you will, not the right word, I guess, maybe, but more in the healing modality. So tell me, what are some successful stories or successes you've had with your clients? So you just shared one, but do you have another one that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So I'm currently working with a woman who is actually a photographer in the Netherlands.
Hmm.
And so most of my clients are executive coaches, or they're really experienced life coaches, but with a specific niche. A lot
Hmm.
of them are healers as well, but there's a small group that are what I call creative professionals.
Right.
And so she's a photographer, other creative professionals would be artists.
Hmm.
And what they all have in common is this, what I call the helper or healer's paradox,
Right.
where there's this need to help. There's this need to, if it goes beyond helping, it's fixing or saving. This,
Right.
what people have called the savior syndrome. And when that need is there, it really screws up, especially business, because they're different energies. So
Right.
with this client, I helped her to see that her need to help and her need to be there for her family always, instead of in balance or in proportion, was really messing up her flow in business.
Right.
And so when we got her to step out of that energy,
Mhm.
she had been in a really bad funk. I won't call it a depression, but she had been in a really bad funk with COVID and
Mhm.
all the challenges that brought up for her as a photographer. She
Mhm.
needed to be in person and she couldn't for quite a while.
Yeah.
So once we shifted that energy, she was able to open up again, start seeing clients again, and start getting into the next level for her career.
Right.
So, and it came from shifting those beliefs around the need to help.
Right.
The need. It's not that helping is bad. Helping's great. We need more helpers in the world. But part of my mission is to help the helpers,
Right.
or support the helpers, to no longer need to help. Because when they step out of that, they've got
Mhm.
10 times more energy. They're doing what they love. They have a bigger impact because they no longer need to help. Now they get to help and they love to help.
Right. Yeah. I find myself bouncing between needing and wanting, and yet I have to say, okay, how's this serving me? It's not.
Mm,
So I
yeah.
have to kind of, pull myself over to the side and say, have a little conversation with myself. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's so important, is because as you were saying, wherever your energy goes, that's where everything goes, right? And you're leaving other things that are really important behind, which you should be
Mhm.
focusing on that. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about maybe clients that you've had that haven't worked out so well, or maybe it did work out in the end, but it just at the time looked like it was working.
Mm. Yeah. So and I emailed you about that question because
Yeah.
I was trying to think about it. Because in my filtering process, before people can become clients, we have to have an initial kind of free session or a
Right.
consultation. And so if someone's really not a fit, then we don't work
Yeah.
together. So I haven't had any clients who have paid me that things didn't go well, because
Right.
I have a really robust filtering system up front. But having said that,
Yeah.
there was a woman, or there's two examples. One, she booked a consultation,
Hmm.
and then on the recommendation of a good friend who's a client.
Yeah.
And when she looked at things a little deeper, she said, "Oh, I don't really agree with what you're doing, because for one, you seem to only work with women, and I don't know
Yeah.
if I agree with that. And two, you seem to have a real focus on business, but that's like you telling me what I need before I even show up."
Right.
So we had a few emails back and forth. In the end, she decided not to go through with the consultation.
Right.
But she comes from a background in social work.
Right.
And so with that, it's really tricky, because in her background,
Hmm.
yeah, you don't tell people what they need up front. You don't focus, or you don't niche. You are a social worker.
Right.
It is not a niching kind of industry.
Right.
Whereas my field is very niched. I don't
Mhm.
work with a whole bunch of people because they're just not a good fit.
Right.
So that's one example. And then
Mhm.
another one, which is a kind of a favorite story of mine, when it started to go really badly, but then, thank God it turned around.
Yeah.
It was a woman that I worked with about 3 years ago when I first started offering the free session that
Mhm.
I still now offer.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's 25 minutes. Someone shows up. I don't know them at all. They
Right.
just saw a Facebook post and they said, "Hey, I want that." They fill out a tiny little application form.
Right.
They show up, and in 25 minutes, I've got to help them feel better or feel the energy or notice a shift, or
Right.
else, they don't necessarily become a client and we don't continue talking.
Right.
So I love the challenge, and I love
Yeah.
that it's based on connection. It's not about forcing an outcome.
Yeah.
So she was working on a political campaign in the US,
Mhm.
and it was in one of the southern states. I don't want to give away the details,
Yeah.
but
That's
it
okay.
was a very it was a very pivotal campaign,
Right.
as it was in the whatever you call the primaries, I guess, like the
I don't
2
know.
years in
I guess so.
between.
I don't
The,
pay
there's the
attention to
main election.
politics, but
Okay. Well, there's the I'm Canadian. I don't know how you do it.
yeah.
There's the
Yeah. Me too.
elections, and then every 2 years there's like the primaries or whatever they
Yeah.
call it. So this was for that, and
Yeah.
she was really stressed out because this person winning was going to be a huge push for her party, and she was on the Democrats.
Right.
So she really wanted that, but she was burnt out. She was stressed out. She was
Right.
so overworked, and so
Yeah.
she showed up on my doorstep virtually to get some ease and some peace with that, so that she wouldn't burn out, so that she could keep working, because she was
Right.
on the verge of burnout. She was one of the leaders of the campaign.
Right.
So she shared all this with me. She got it all out in about 5 minutes, and I said, "Okay, is it okay if we just dive in, go down
Yeah.
the deep end?" And she said, "Yes, I want the straight talk. Give it to me straight."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, well, the first thing we have to address is that you believe that Trump is evil and that
Yeah.
his entire campaign is evil and
Yeah.
that you exist to defeat evil. So we
Yeah.
gotta address that first." And she did not like that, not one little bit.
Yeah.
She came at me guns blazing and attacked me for about 5 minutes,
Yeah.
saying, "You don't know what you're talking about. First off, you're a man. Second, you're white. You don't know what you're talking about." And they were all legitimate points.
Yeah.
I am sitting in a seat of privilege. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm very privileged.
Mhm.
So I heard all of that, and I said, so normally I would have always backed down, but
Yeah.
because of the energy work, I was able to just be with her and be
Mhm.
present. And I said, "I hear you. And firstly, did anything that I suggest violate your deepest values about life?"
Mhm.
She said, "No." I said, "Okay, then we can either end the session here, and that's
Mhm.
fine, or we can continue. But if we continue, we have to address this belief that Trump is evil. There's
Mhm.
nothing else to look at. That's the only game. It's the only thing. So
Mhm.
if you want to continue, we have to go there. So what
Mhm.
would you like to do?" And she said, "I want to continue."
Mhm.
So we had the session, cleared a whole bunch of beliefs, cleared a whole bunch of energy. By the end, she ended up saying, "I'm really sorry for attacking you. I thought you were coming from a very different place, but I'm glad we continued. So
Mhm.
thank you for being with me."
Mhm.
And about 2 weeks later, I got an email from her, and it said, "I never told you the next day, but that next day I went into the political campaign head office where everyone had been so stressed out. And I walked in the next day, and it was as if our entire team took this breath, like we took this collective breath. We had a sigh of relief,
Yeah.
and then we got back to work more rested and not so frazzled. So I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you for whatever you did."
Yeah.
And it really showed me the power of when one person changes their belief and
Right.
changes their energy, it
Mhm.
can really impact a much larger group of people.
Right. Right. Yeah, I totally get that because, it's all about us and what our beliefs are and how it affects what we do and what we say and what we see that happens around us, right?
Mhm.
This perfectly situation in this class, just to demonstrate that how to honor what you said is that I had an aha moment in this class and like, oh, because we were talking about pricing and beliefs and limitations. What's my limitation? That's why I don't price anything high, is because it's my belief that nobody could afford me.
Mm.
So I had to release that. And then once I got the aha, usually once you have an aha, it's just released. So anyway, so that was so I just want to say that that's so true, about what you said about the energy and the attachments we have to our beliefs and what we think that we need and what we don't need, or that
Mhm.
is stopping us, that's not clearing up our space. Right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Anything else you want to share about, what you do and how you help others, and um, how can it help people in their workplaces, that type of thing?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest pieces is that I have found that especially women, because I work mostly with women.
Right.
It's been 500 clients from 26 countries, so I'm not making this up out of thin air.
Yeah.
But with the women that I've worked with, one of the biggest thing that holds them back, and it's men as well, but there's a different flavor.
Yeah.
But it's the blankets of should.
Yeah.
It's the I should be this. I shouldn't be that. I should take care of my family first. I should put everyone else first.
Right.
I shouldn't be so bold or borderline arrogant in my business because that's not how I was raised. It's
Right.
boastful, and what ends up happening is that all these layers of should
Yeah.
stop us from being ourselves fully.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we go and we try to promote our business.
Mm-hmm.
We try to enter into a really honest sales conversation. But
Right.
we've got 20 blankets, 20 shoulds on top of us.
Right.
And then we're going to come out and make a Facebook Live that's really authentic and us and attracts the ideal clients. But meanwhile, we've got 20 blankets that we're trying to get through the whole time, and we're exhausted. And it's
Right.
really hard to just be ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And all that advice of, just do it and just be yourself and be authentic, it's all just gobbledygook. It doesn't mean anything
Right.
until we can see what some of those layers really are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've done a lot of work. I went back through a whole bunch of my client sessions to kind of look for the data, so to speak, because
Yeah.
I'm very, very intuitive, but I also love my data.
Yeah.
So I went back through subjectively because this imposter complex kept coming up over and over and over again. People would say, I feel like a fraud. I feel like an imposter. I can't
Mm-hmm.
charge that much, or I can't make these videos, or I don't want to post these things.
Right.
Or the biggest one is, I have always been an expert in my field, but it's always been locally. I'm
Mm-hmm.
great even on a stage in person, but I won't do video. I
Right.
won't do audio. I won't go on podcast. Like, I don't want to do that. Don't make
Yeah.
me do that. So I realized that this imposter complex was at the core of a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked back and I saw there were about 8 pillars. And so I've created these 8 pillars of the imposter complex, ranging from procrastination
Mm-hmm.
to crappy boundaries to not owning your expertise. All these things become these layers, these blankets of shoulds.
Right.
And as we take each one off, we're free to be ourselves.
Right.
And being yourself is the most powerful thing you can do in business ever.
Mm-hmm.
One service provider that's being just totally themselves, no pretense, no pretending, is more influential than 100 that have the best marketing system and the best platform and the best all these things, because we all see right through that.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything anymore. Systems are a dime a dozen, but
Yeah.
individuals being fully themselves is magical.
Right.
So that's a huge thing that I love to help my clients do, is to take off those shoulds, and we use that framework of the 8 pillars.
Right.
Excuse me, because it works.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you like best about what you do?
fun. I'll give you my PC answer first, and then I'll give you my next answer. So my PC answer is, I love the aha moments. I love the moments of awareness that grow of, oh my gosh, that's what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I haven't been posting because I'm afraid of someone specifically saying,
Yeah.
who the hell do you think you are?
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about. And it's
Right.
so specific that it knocks people off their blocks, and they do a bit of a spin, and
Mm-hmm.
then we clear the energy. And then the next day they come back and say, oh my gosh, I made 5 videos. It was amazing. And
Yeah.
I wasn't even nervous. So
Yeah.
that's my PC answer. I love that.
Right.
My other answer that may offend some people
Yeah. It's
is
right.
that is that I love, it's been a skill, a spiritual gift of mine since I was a kid. And as a
Mm-hmm.
kid, it got me in a lot of trouble.
Right.
Now as a professional, it's why my clients pay me money. And it's
Right.
because I can see when people are lying to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So my clients will go through and they'll say, I really want to figure out this visibility block. I really want to know why.
Yeah.
And just the energy hits me like a wall. And I go, oh, sorry. And they say, what? I say, that's actually a lie. You're lying to yourself. And they
Yeah.
say, no, I'm not. I
Hmm.
say, oh, okay. But by the end of the session, every time they see, oh my gosh, I was lying to myself. And now that I've cleared that, I can actually move forward honestly.
Right.
So that's the part that I love the most, because I feel that it's something that not many practitioners are willing to do in this space, which is to say, I'm sorry, Mari-Lyn, but you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
It's, to be able to say it with love and presence and not offend people it's a lot of fun. That
Hmm.
sounds weird, but it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. So given that that's your thing about, helping people clear the shoulds and the pillars. So what do you think the shoulds are? Like what are the, I know you said like, like I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. I should really show up as just who I am. But what happens if you don't know who you are? And is that a should or is that a lie?
I would say it's a lie. It depends. Every person is different, so I don't want to put a blanket
Yeah,
answer to that one.
yeah.
But I would say it's a lie that's been compounding over years.
Okay.
So I'll give one example. So we'll go with a mom
Yeah,
in her 40s or even early 50s
yeah.
who's been living for the family this whole
Right.
time
Mm,
and has had a career or a
right,
business,
right.
and now either something changed, either
Yeah,
COVID happened and they need to pivot to online, a kid has left the house, a
right,
divorce has happened, or they've just reached that place of like, okay, my heart can't take this anymore. I need to
right.
be me again.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go on this journey of, well, who the heck am I? Like, I don't
Right.
even know who I am. So my clients are the ones that don't want to go to a mountainside to
Yeah,
figure it all out. They want to keep having an impact in the world
right,
and figure it out at the same time.
right.
So I would say that that's a combination of shoulds over a lifetime. So I should be a mom first and a
Mhm.
business owner second.
Right.
Now, that may be the case. She may choose to do
Mhm.
that even after we've worked together. She may still choose.
Yeah.
But what I'm interested in is that knee jerk should response that says, I should do this.
Right.
Uh, I shouldn't do that. And so when we step out of that, then she's got freedom to
Mhm.
really choose for herself what she wants. So that's one layer is the mom layer. The
Yeah.
mom guilt is a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
The other layer shoulds is religion,
Mhm.
and that's not to throw religion under the bus. I think
Yeah.
religion and spirituality both have given us a lot of amazing things in our
Mhm.
society. And there are many layers of shoulds for women having been born and raised in a Western society that's so influenced by the Christian faith.
Right.
And that there's a whole bunch of baggage around that. And a lot
Yeah.
of my clients come to me with that baggage. So religion's another one.
Yeah.
There are tons. There are
Right.
many layers of shoulds.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. Okay, great. So is there anything you'd like to finally say or tip or something? It's been very interesting to talk with you. So just if you have anything you'd like to share or whatever before we close.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have a free gift that I'd
Mhm.
love to offer for the audience.
Okay.
But just before that, I want to share for anyone that might be listening, this little example or analogy may make your day. For everyone else, it's not going to make any sense. But I was just saying to a client the other day, it was an initial session.
Mhm.
I said, well, imagine that you're at the start of a race. You're about to run this race. You're so excited. You see the end. You know your goal,
Yeah.
and you've got your coach on the side who's there. Say your affirmations. Visualize the end result. Take action. You can do this. You can do this. Believe in yourself. And the race starts. And very quickly you realize something's not right here. Everyone else is running faster than me, and they seem to be having a good time, and I am not. I'm already in pain, and we
Yeah.
just started the race. So you look to your coach on the side, your well-meaning, amazing coach who says, just keep going, believe in yourself, recite the affirmations, visualize. And you try it all, and it's still not working. Something's still off.
Yeah.
And eventually, you look to the side, and there I am, sitting down, chill and relax. And I go, oh, hey, you got a backpack on, but you can't hear me because your coach is yelling so loud and your
Right.
affirmations are so loud that you can't hear me. But eventually you do. And you say,
Yeah.
what are you saying? I say, the backpack, take off the backpack. So you turn and you go, oh my gosh, I've got a backpack on. But it's actually a 200-pound backpack that you've been carrying for a decade or
Right.
two, of all the shoulds and all the crap. So you take it off, and then you get to run your race.
Hmm.
And now your coach can do their job and can really just bolster you and boost you and get you moving in the right direction, like even faster.
Right.
But if you don't take off the backpack first, then you're going to be kind of cranky.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great story. I loved it. Great.
Yeah.
Great. And so what was your gift you were going to say you're going to offer? Yes.
Yeah, so my gift, I just opened up again. I took a break for a year, but I've
Yeah.
just reopened. It's a free session that I offer. So it's a
Okay.
free 15 to 25 minutes energy clearing session. It's
Okay.
not a consultation. So we
Yeah.
just pick one specific area, and then we clear beliefs, clear the energy. We do a deep dive on that one specific spot.
Yeah.
And then we see if you'd like to do more work together, we explore that. If not, it's just a free session.
Right.
And it's called the Align with Ease
Okay.
energy clearing session.
Okay. And how are they going to find you? Just on your
Yeah,
website or
yeah,
Facebook?
the link is so it's not up publicly on the website because it's only for podcasts
Right.
and specific
Yeah.
Facebook groups, but it's myspiritualclarity.com
Okay.
/ align with ease.
Okay.
And hopefully we can put that in the show notes
Yeah.
or in the comments below, wherever this goes. But
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll just put it on your page where podcasts.heartatwork online, where all the podcasts are listed, and you'll be up there, and I'll include the link there as well. So that's where people
great.
can find it. So anyway, but yeah, it's a great conversation. Thank you, Will, for the conversation. I've learned a little bit more about you and how you really affect and help women, mostly women. But you have men coming, right? Or
I
do
do,
you
yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. No, I
yeah,
have I've had a number of really fantastic male clients.
yeah,
But even before I started focusing my marketing towards women, it was 99% women without any niching of any kind. So
yeah.
I've just gone with where the energy was.
Yeah, I think it's just because more women are open to that rather than maybe men. Not to say men aren't, but I would gather that's just my assumption. But
Maybe,
anyway.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for the call, Will, and I so appreciate it. And thank you for joining us, everybody. And you'll be hearing more about Will later on. And thank you for joining us
Yeah.
today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And my famous last line is always be kind to each other because that's all we have.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Thank you.